rich, that's a false claim. I be straight to the whip, no baggage claim. Whole lot of styles, can't even pronounce the name. You ain't got no style, see you on my Instagram. I be rocking it like it's fresh out the pan. Only when I'm taking pics, I'm the middleman. Talking like a boss, I just hit all in the motherfucking house. Do it, baby, sing it, baby.
Okay, hello. And we're sticking with the laughing at the beginning of every video.
That's awesome. Well, what better way to start a video than with laughter?
Exactly. Welcome back to Honest Tea Talks.
Welcome.
I'm Ronnie.
I'm Ashley.
That was more fluid this time.
Less pressure there. Today, we're going to talk about something pretty interesting.
Pretty intimate.
Yes, literally.
Yeah.
We are talking today about
Sex
ed.
Yes.
And how it is lacking in the world and how it could be better.
Not sex. The education of sex.
Yes. Sex is not lacking.
No.
The education, enjoyable sex though.
Yes.
Is lacking. Yes. We're being so silly.
I know. And I don't know why, because I mean it should be a fun topic. It shouldn't be a topic that makes you feel uncomfortable. It shouldn't be a topic that you squirm about.
No.
Like it's a part of human nature.
Yes.
And it's one of the reasons we want to talk about this is because we were talking the other day about how it requires an intimacy, and it requires both emotional intimacy,
yes,
spiritual intimacy, and physical intimacy.
Yes.
And you want a balance of all three.
Totally.
Because you can have one or two of each of those things, but you may not get the other thing.
Yeah, and I think the great part about it too is that if you're educated, you would at least know the difference.
Exactly.
And that's what's lacking. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like if you don't want the emotional intimacy, you don't have to have
Oh,
it,
no.
obviously. But if you don't even know the difference between it, then you're sometimes wanting emotional intimacy and then trying to find it in physical intimacy.
Exactly.
And then you don't find it, and then you're in this like toxic cycle. And so it's really important to us, what we've learned along our journey, you know, about our own sexuality and about what we enjoy, what we don't enjoy, what we've had in the past and how it doesn't even align with what we want,
Yeah.
but still very much had it and settled for it. And so it's important for us to talk about how sex happens. And it's crazy how this is why people don't talk about it, because they're like, like, oh no, we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, it's very important.
It's important. Talk about it.
And I think, well, like we said, the education of it is lacking. Like, from childhood, no one talks about it in an educational manner. When you reach puberty, I think parents should have a conversation with their kids, not just about the fact of the birds and the bees and scientifically this is what happens. It's very important to have the discussion at puberty with your children, both boys and girls,
Yes.
that look, you have a right to say yes or no.
Mm-hmm.
You have every right to not want to have it or to want to have it.
Yes.
It's an individual's choice.
Mm-hmm.
But it should never be forced on you. And that's one of the things that I looked away.
We both cut
I
that
love-
out. We both literally went out there looking at the squirrel.
Yeah, oh my god, I'm so dumb.
Okay, so
there's a good way to put it, because boys are just told, be protected, wear protection, right?
Yeah.
They're never taught, like, if a girl is giving you certain signals, you probably don't want to push it because she doesn't want it, you know? And girls at the same time aren't taught how it should feel or how the guy should make you feel. Like, if you feel uncomfortable, you have every right to say no.
Or how you should enjoy it
Exactly.
as well, because it's a pleasurable act. It's an exchange of energy, which
Yes.
means you're giving, you're also receiving.
Exactly.
They're giving, they're also receiving. And I think that when it comes to these types of conversations, it's I think it's something that parents are afraid to talk about and teachers are afraid to talk about, because it's like, well, if we talk about it, does that mean they're going to go and be curious? But like, newsflash, they're already curious, especially nowadays.
Yeah.
Social media is like totally free for all. You do whatever you want, see whatever you want.
Yeah, and I think the lack of conversation and the lack of education of it, the lack of parents or teachers wanting to have that discussion is what drives them to want to do it more.
Yeah, and you're not preparing them.
Exactly.
Yes, because the thing is, like, regardless, they're gonna do it.
Yeah.
They're gonna do it. Or they're not, because of fear, because they're afraid that it's gonna go wrong because of what they've been taught or what they've seen.
Yeah.
What you see online is not what happens in real life, and I think that it's important for people, especially teenagers, to understand what sex is.
Yeah.
I was having sex and not even knowing what sex should feel like or what that engagement should be. And there were many times where I would even cry and feel like I was not enjoying this act because I didn't really want it, but I didn't know how to voice that I didn't want it.
And I was feared into don't do it at all or you'll be disowned.
That's
so
like
it's
Jane
like,
the Virgin. Like
yeah, exactly.
Esta flor. She like purples it. It's like never the same flower.
Yeah, so then I go into a situation and I'm like, I don't know what the F I'm doing. Is this the way it's supposed to go? You know what I mean?
And it's accompanied by guilt.
Yeah.
When it's like, it should be something enjoyable, exciting, and intimate for two people. Or more than two people if that's what you're into. But those things like need to be talked about. Since there's fear attached to this engagement, then it continuously is something that is toxic.
Yeah.
Things that women don't enjoy and things that men also don't enjoy, or men don't enjoy and women don't enjoy. It's like those conversations need to happen.
Yeah, everything comes back to communication. So like in teaching men, we were having this conversation the other day because it's like men are just taught to like, oh, you know, you go in, you pump a few times, and then it's like you get off and you're great, but at no point are you asking your partner who you're what is she feeling? Like, are you hitting it in the right spot? You know, like these are important questions, and men should ask women, and women should also ask men, like, what is it that he likes and wants to try or enjoy? And because men have certain spots that like to be touched as well.
Totally. And some men have spots that they don't want you to go
Exactly.
to. So it's like everyone is different,
yes.
so that's an important conversation to have with every single partner you're with.
Yes.
Because just because what worked for one worked for them doesn't mean that the next partner you're with is going to have the same desires and preferences. So have those conversations.
Yes.
And it's our responsibility to communicate. I think that what happens is if like, oh, well, emotionally though we're not involved, then we don't ask those questions. No. If you are intimate with someone, whether it's like a friends with benefits or like a quick whatever it is, you still have to have those conversations, and you still have to make sure the person you're involved with,
you still want to be friends with benefits. So if you're not pleasing them, they're not going to want you as their friend with benefits.
They're going to be like,
you have to communicate.
Yeah, communication is key.
Yes.
Talk to your partner, even if they're not your solid partner. Like, talk to the person you are sharing your energy with.
And also learn yourself, learn what you like, so that when you're asked that question, you can confidently say, well, you know what, I like it like this. Can you try that? You know?
I like it like that. Literally, that's so important.
Yeah.
I love that you brought that up. Explore your body, and don't feel ashamed of or for exploring your body, because if you don't know your body, how can you
expect someone else to know
someone?
Yeah.
Like, I think as women too, sometimes we expect the other person to know what we like, and when they don't do it, we get angry and we feel ashamed, and it's like,
they don't know
any more than you. Like,
exactly.
you have to explore your body and say like, oh, well, you know what, I like this to be played with, or I like that, I like it when you say this, I like it when you say that. Like, if you don't know, or if you're like, it really isn't fun when you do that, like, I don't like that, then
I think that's the issue with the lack of communication is why so many people turn to porn. Yeah. Because they can find whatever they want that satisfies them behind that computer screen.
Totally.
But if you're learning what you like from that, then bring that into the bedroom and talk about it, so that you can actually do that with your partner, as opposed to getting that satisfaction from something external, and then your partner feeling like, I'm not fulfilling this person.
Yes.
But if you actually communicate with one another about what it is that pleases you, you don't have to go to the screen.
Exactly. And so this is super important as well. Now that you brought up communication. Communication can go really, really wrong. I have tried to have communication with my exes before, and it turns into an ego trip and like, oh, what are you trying to say? Are you trying to say that I'm not making you feel? And it's like, if you take things personally, it's going to end bad.
Yeah.
When someone tells you, hey, like, I really like this, don't get in your head and start taking it personally and saying like, oh wow, she's saying I'm not good enough. Like, that's not what she's saying.
No.
What she's saying is, this is what I like. And she's not saying you're not doing it and I don't like you. She's saying, would you be willing to try this? Right? So you have the right to do that as well.
Yes.
Talk to her and say like, oh, okay, well, I didn't know you like that. I can definitely try that.
Yes.
Right? Like, well, I like this. And then it can go well. But if you're going to take things personally and she or he is telling you what they like and you're taking it personal, now you're getting upset and it turns into an argument, it's like, you're not allowing her or him to feel comfortable with telling you what they like. So they're either going to suppress it and not want to even enjoy having sex, or they're going to find another partner, which is totally fine.
Yes.
If you are with someone and you voice what you like and they're totally like, don't like it, I don't want to do that, I'm not into that, no, then you're either going to say, okay, well, fine, I can sacrifice it. Or you're going to say, well, I want someone that fits it.
Yeah.
And it's not you and it's not personal. It's not because you're not enough. We're just not the match. We're not the right fit for each other.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Because imagine, like, you are going to be with this person if it is a person you're in a relationship with. But, like, you have a choice to, like, enjoy this act. It shouldn't be just, like, something you do.
Oh, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Yeah, no. It's not.
No.
No. It never should be that way. No. Unless, I mean, that's what you want.
Yes, if that is what you want, which is totally fine.
That's okay too.
That's still a preference.
Yes.
And so you want someone that has the same preference.
Exactly. You want to make sure you're vibing on the same level when it comes to what you want. Like, it's all too common, and you hear that a lot about, like, women or men even saying, like, oh, I don't want any ties, I just want the physical aspect of it. But then one or the other ends up getting emotionally involved. And the second you feel like you are emotionally involved and you know that person is not, it's time to cut that cord. Yes. Like, because you're both only going to set each other up for disappointment and heartache.
Yes. Communication. At the end of the day,
it is.
Education and communication. Yes. All the Asians. Like, lubrication.
Hey, some people need it and some don't.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Like,
that's why it's out there.
Yes, there's no need in this day and age with all the things that we know, with all this that's out there, all of this information, there's no need to feel ashamed about your body.
No.
Yes, back in the day, it was like you just procreate, you just make babies. I don't think it was something that people did necessarily for pleasure. I think it was more like, well, we have to make kids, and so this is what we do. You make my kids, and things are changing. You bear my kids. You bear my children. We make babies. It was like robotic. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe they did like it. I don't know, but it was never taught. Like, I know my mom wasn't taught about how to enjoy sex. She didn't have sexual education that was really truthful about sex and what it's for and the energy you spend when you're when you're having sex. There are different things that are exchanged too. It's not just like fluids. It's like emotionally, energetically, you are transacting certain things. And it's important to talk about that and to educate, but it's also important to know yourself and also important to communicate what yourself is to the person that you're with. Yeah.
And I do, talking about the parents and education, I do think it's important that parents, to some extent, talk to their kids about what is okay and what isn't okay, because I didn't have that taught to me. I didn't have that education. I had to go through experience and be like, is this okay? Like, go on a date, you know, when I'm like 19 or 20 and experience something from someone of the same race, you know, not just kind of going with the flow for himself, but not reading my cues. But I didn't even know what my cues should be because it was never taught to me.
Exactly.
So I just let whatever happen. And I look back on it and I don't like what happened.
Yes.
You know?
Well, let's talk about that. What do you think are some of the cues that would show a man? Because I think part of this video is also educating, and not only men but women and everyone. Like regardless of who your preference is, what your preferences are. Like, what do you think is something that should be looked at when a man or a woman is trying to pursue someone? Like, what are cues?
If you're inching closer to the person, but the person you're inching closer to is backing away, that's one sign.
A big sign.
A big sign.
That you should not overlook.
Yeah. If you're trying to touch and that person's like, yeah, that's a cue.
That's a cue. Don't miss that.
Yeah. If you're intensely trying to make eye contact and they are not even on that eye level with you, that's a cue, you know?
Yes. I think that is one of the most important things, because there are a lot of times that myself and many people that I've talked to, many women that I've talked to, that have been in situations where they did not want to have sex, but since they're in the heat of the moment and they're kissing and they're being touched, and even though you're like slightly pushing them, right, and you're like, okay, you're not fully into it, but you were into it, they still feel the need to continue. And that is something that needs to be talked about, because if someone is giving you signals, clear signals that should be clear but aren't clear because you're not taught about those signals, you need to back off.
Yes.
And ask them, what, are you okay?
Yes.
Am I making you feel uncomfortable? Do you not want to do this?
Yeah.
Because you can't say, well, I got this far, then let me just go right in and do what I want. Or even vice versa, even a girl onto a man, because it does happen.
Yeah.
Right? And there are men that are vulnerable and don't know how to say no too.
Yeah.
It's not just a masculine thing, but that energy, it needs to be
you can at any point change your mind.
Yes.
There is not anything that should stop you from changing your mind. Like, if you get to a point where you're making out, but you in your mind are like, no, I don't want to go forward with this, you have every right for your own safety, for your own physical body, for your own peace of mind to say no.
Yes.
And to walk away.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that, I know personally, is difficult, because if I'm not taught about boundaries and about how, like, to say no, and I'm trying to give physical signs that I don't want it, but you're not reading those signs and you just continue to do whatever you want with me, that never feels good.
No.
You never, like, leave that feeling confident or feeling good.
No.
Like, you are like, okay, like, you got what you wanted, right? But I'm leaving with no satisfaction and no feeling good emotions. And that's not what that experience should be like for a person. And so when you are in a situation like that, it is your responsibility, regardless of what side you're on, to notice those things, to pay attention, to read body language, to see how she feels, how he feels. Does he like what you're doing?
Yes.
If he pushes you slightly off in a certain direction, like, maybe he wants something else. Like, if she's not feeling it, or she's like pushing your hand away, then understand that that's a sign that she's not ready, that she doesn't want to be with you.
And don't let them guilt you into continuing, and also don't be the person that tries to guilt that person to continue.
Yes, don't be that guy
or girl.
Yeah, like, no one,
guilt is a low emotion, and no one should feel it in either direction.
Yes. And a lot of times when a person feels like guilty, then they're gonna put out, because they're like, oh my gosh, like,
but it's not gonna feel good.
It's not gonna feel good. It's not worth it. So if someone is guilt tripping you, understand that that's their way of manipulating you to do what they want you to do. So don't fall for it. Don't be the person also that falls for it. But it is really easy to. So don't guilt trip someone into being intimate with you.
Yeah.
That is not true intimacy, and it's not an exchange. At that point, you're taking from them something that they don't want to share with you.
Exactly.
And so when someone wants you, they will make it very clear. What's the difference of that? What do you think are signs that people really do want to be with you, other than your own physical emotions? Because I think people go by what they feel. Yeah. And since they want it, they're like, oh, they want it too because they're here with me and I want it, so I'm going to get it. What are signs that not only I want it, but you definitely want it?
It's a mutual exchange of energy. Like, conversation, talking, you're vibing on the same level. Like, there's, subtle touching from both directions. It's not just one person overpowering the other.
Yes.
So it definitely will be mutual from both sides. It won't be a chase and what's like a
What's the thing?
like a freaking caveman and cavewoman. Like it's not gonna be like hit her over the head, take her home. Like it's gonna be both mutual. Like both parties clearly feel an attraction. Both parties clearly have good conversation and a flirtation back and forth.
Touching back and forth. I love that you said that because like if I'm here, right, like literally here, and you're all up on me, and I'm not on you, then what makes you think that I want to be with you? Like if I'm here, I'm being overpowered. Like my energy is not being shared.
No,
it's being protected and contract. I don't want you at this point. Like let me breathe, and that mutual touching is super important. I think like when a person wants you, they are going to show you the signs. They're going to feel that.
And I think people that know themselves very well, value themselves very well, and have the proper education for themselves when it comes to sex education, they can read that sign. They can feel that mutual attraction. But it's when there's a lack of that education and a lack of that self-knowledge that one party can manipulate the other.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
Definitely learn yourself. Learn what you want. Before going out there and and practicing what you've learned about yourself.
Make it clear and understand that you at the end of the day have full control over your body. You do not have to let your body.
No one is in charge of your body.
Anyone. If you don't want it, you don't have to have it. If you don't want to give it, you don't have to give it. And that goes for every party. If you're a parent watching this, educate your kids, talk to them about sex education in a deeper way, not in just a like, okay, when you have sex with someone, like talk about gender, talk about identity, talk about sexual preferences.
And I feel like I saw this somewhere the other day, I don't remember where, but when you're talking to your kids, because there's predators out there, right? When you're talking to your kids about, it's a lot of times that you're telling the girls like, you shouldn't be touched like this, you shouldn't, this and that. But boys need to hear that too, because boys also get taken advantage of at young ages. So you also need to talk to your young boys about how they should or shouldn't be touched.
Yes. And I love that because I personally was very much touched by a girl the first time I was ever exposed to anything. And so I had always been taught like, oh no, like you don't let boys do this, you don't let boys do that, and never thought for a second that it wouldn't be even a boy that would invade my privacy and my space. And so because it was a girl, I wasn't prepared for that. No one ever talked, obviously I was very young, but like if you don't talk about things in a general way, like notice how we're not saying, oh guys are always the ones that do this, girls are always the ones, it's like no. Everyone has the ability to be abused, raped, manipulated, and abused of and neglected.
Or be the person that is
to abuse and neglect.
Yeah.
And so it's important to have those conversations with your kids and with yourselves even as an adult. Like I've learned everything as an adult, most of the things that I know now. And it's important to continue learning and to do your research. You have the internet. It's not like we're not in a world anymore where we don't know. We know, and the internet is there to teach you even more. Like, educate yourself if you don't know really what's going on in the world. But like,
you can find someone online that can help you educate yourself or also educate your kids. Like, like you said, we have the world of the internet now where we're connected with the whole world. So there's definitely someone out there that's probably learned this and is an expert in it and can help guide you to how to communicate better with your kids, your teenagers, your significant other, and one with yourself.
Yes, definitely. Have those conversations. Be confident when you're having those conversations. Let your kids know that you didn't have those type of conversations and that you want to be involved. That your kids can go to you and talk to you about their sex life. Because who are they going to talk to? Like, if I don't talk to anyone about it, it's like I'm going to learn through trial and error. And sometimes that trial and error is not just a simple, oh, it wasn't fun. Sometimes it's really severe and you really had a terrible experience and you don't want to wait for that to happen for your kids to come to you or not come to you at all. So definitely talk to your kids, to your partner, communicate, have those conversations with your friends, guys and girls. When you're hanging out with your friends, be open to communicating and being open to the sex talk, because Sex isn't, oh yeah, I fucked this girl, oh yeah, I fucked this guy, oh yeah. It's deeper than that.
Yeah.
And if you're not talking about what you like and you don't care to even know what other people like, then how are you going to be able to enjoy this thing that you should enjoy?
Yeah, I agree.
Yes. We love you. Thank you for watching. If you have any recommendations, let us know. Leave it in the comments. We would love to talk about certain things that maybe you want us to talk about, maybe something you've been wanting to talk about or have been talking about that you think we can elaborate on.
Yes. We love you and have a beautiful day.
Bye.